create the book Conversations with the Devil, Outwitting the Devil. I'm so sorry, got that title wrong, but Outwitting the Devil. There has been so many speakers that we have interviewed for our Philosophy of Success series, but when I heard her talk, I said, there is a very special topic that I would love you to share with us on our Team Elite Platinum University. And, you know, Sharon Letcher has been such a successful businesswoman, has had so much interesting experience, actually partnered with Robert Kiyosaki for Rich Dad, Poor Dad. But not only that, I mean, a lot more things than that. I'll let her explain that. And I'm just so thankful that she could come on with us to our Team Elite Platinum University. Today's topic is kind of crossing the bridge of tears, but we would love to hear your story, your beginnings, you know, and why you wrote the book Think and Grow Rich for Women. Like, why was that necessary? And whatever else you want to share with us. And at the end, we're hoping that people can ask a few questions. So, you know, go the full length, and if you have a little more time to answer a few questions, that would be great. We can do that live while we're on the Zoom. We have about 549 people on this Zoom, and we are broadcasting on Facebook Live, or I'm sorry, YouTube Live, and a bunch of people out over there as well. Anyway, thank you, Sharon, for coming on, and I hope, Javier, we're okay, we're ready, and Eric, yep, we have our producers trying to get a hold of everything here. Javier running around.
Well, thank you, Alan. I'm so delighted to be with you. I want to congratulate you and congratulate everybody that I see on the screen. I was flipping through the screen, seeing all these beautiful and handsome faces. So what an incredible opportunity, and what an incredible way to provide value to each other and to continue that collective energy that comes. You know, entrepreneurship can be a very lonely thing if you don't have the right people around you, the right advisors, the right mentors, the right team. And I think you guys have found the right team. So you've got the people around you to support you, maybe kick you a little bit along the way when you need it, to learn that hearing a no is just inspiration to keep going. So it's a real honor for me to address you. I've been involved with Dan McCormick for many years as a dear friend, and I'm so delighted to get to know Alan better and to be introduced to all of you, because it is definitely an organization like yours that provides the education and the mentorship and the systems for people to create a better future for themselves and their families. And that's what I'm all about. I'm dedicated to financial literacy and providing tools to help people take their life to the next level and create a foundation of financial well-being, not just for you today, but for your family in the future as well. So congratulations to you, Alan, and to everyone here for finding the right team and the right power of association. So Alan asked me to share a little bit about my story. So it's obvious I've been around a long time, so I'll try and give you the short version. But I grew up in a very lower middle class home. My parents, neither one of them had high school educations. And yet my father went on to run the engineering school for the Navy. So he was totally a brilliant self-taught man. But we lived in a little tiny house between my mom's beauty shop and my dad's used car lot. We had rental properties that I had to go scrub out the bathroom between tenants when I was 10 years old. I swore I would never be an entrepreneur. I was going to be a sophisticated professional. So I got my degree in accounting, first one in my family to go to college, my first generation, and got a job with public accounting, one of the very first women ever hired. I think I was the fourth woman hired in the Southeast United States, and moved to the hot city of Atlanta. Oh my gosh, it was so much fun. Had a great career, very successful, moving up very quickly. But about the ripe old age of 25, I decided I was working really long hours and my parents started looking a lot smarter. I said, if I'm going to work this hard, I should be working for myself, not for someone else. So I had an opportunity to lead public accounting with one of my clients. And I still remember going back to my condo. And of course, this was in the mid 70s. So yellow legal pad, no PCs, no cell phones. And I see pros and cons, and I could argue both sides. It didn't help me a bit. But my hand wrote off across the top of the page, why not? Everybody say it. Why not? Right? ¿Por qué no? I have a little Spanish, not much, but why not? ¿Por qué no? And that has been my driving force my entire life. Why not do something different? Why not take the path less traveled? Why not solve a problem or serve a need? And that's what your company is designed to help people solve problems and serve needs. That's the element of success behind every successful company. And so I made the decision to leave public accounting. And it actually at the time was the worst decision of my life. I got to this company, it was all kinds of corruption. But Napoleon Hill said, out of every adversity comes the seed of an equal or greater benefit. So my worst business decision, because I was there for a few weeks and realized I'd made a big mistake. But then all of a sudden I met an attorney that was there involved in some litigation, and his name was Michael Letcher. And we just celebrated 40 years of marriage. And so my worst business decision became my best life decision. So as Napoleon Hill says, out of every adversity comes a seed of an equal or greater benefit. I got instant feedback. Now, sometimes it takes a while to figure out what the benefit is when life throws something in our way. But this one was a gift for me. So I'm happy that I made that horrible business decision. But we got married, we have 3 kids, and started having, doing all kinds of wonderful things as an entrepreneur. I started a woman's magazine and sold that. And then my kids didn't like to read. And so I met the inventor of the first talking children's book. These are the books with the sound strips down the side. This was in 1987. And I learned so much about publishing and the fact that we had this electronic gadget before kids had electronics. And so, well, how can we get them to trust us? So we aligned with little companies like Disney, Warner Brothers, Sesame Street, and yes, even Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. But it allowed us to immediately get confidence from the parents. And so we were able to explode this company around the world. And in our 4th year, we were over 50 million in sales is when we sold the company. I learned so much about the power of association, why it's so important for you to align yourself with everybody else on this screen, being in this group, having that association to support you. And we moved here to Arizona back in 91. In 92, our oldest son went off to college. And in September, he came home in December in credit card debt. I didn't even know he had credit cards. He got to university and there's this table, free pizza, free money, free t-shirt, free money. He had a really good time his first semester in college, but he came home at Christmas and said, I'm in credit card debt, ask us to bail him out. We refused to do that, but it took him 7 years to get out of debt and to repair his credit. But he's as passionate as I am today about financial literacy. That was December of 1992. And I dedicated the rest of my career to financial literacy and financial education. And I'm as passionate about it today as I was back then. So I started working with school systems, hence the white hair, if you've ever tried to change the school system. But fast forward a few years, and my husband called me one day and said he'd met this guy that has what I've been looking for. So ladies, if your husband called you and said he'd met a man that has what you've been looking for, what would you say? I still remember where I was, and I'm going, okay, honey, tell me more. I love all the smiles. Some of them are a little delayed, so I know you're getting it through an interpreter. I love it. And he had this guy come to his office. My husband's a famous intellectual property attorney, and this guy came into his office in Bermuda shorts and a Hawaiian shirt and flip-flops of this tall building in downtown Phoenix with an idea for a board game drawn out on a piece of paper. His name was Robert Kiyosaki. He wasn't quite sure what to do with it. And Mike knew, with my background with the talking books and the games that I did, that I would be interested in the concept, because the game taught the concept of buying, building, and creating assets that generate passive income. And so I went to the first beta test when it was just drawn out on a piece of paper, and the different playing pieces were different caliber bullets. Great first impression. But I was the only one who got out of the rat race. And I said, but this is important because it taught the importance of buying, building, creating assets. So I volunteered to help him commercialize the game. And well into it, he told me he wanted to charge $200 US for it. And I said, well, that's kind of pricey. Should probably, write a brochure that kind of shares the philosophy. And that's when he asked me to be his partner. And we together wrote the brochure. And most people don't know this, is the brochure was Rich Dad, Poor Dad. We never expected it to take on a life of its own. We thought we were a game company. The game was Cash Flow. Many of you, I'm sure, have seen it and played it because it's in multiple languages, just like Rich Dad is. And so we wrote this book together. We became partners. I co-founded the company with him, and I was the CEO. And we just exploded the message around the world because it was a message of taking control of your financial life and the importance of asset creation. And one of the industries, direct selling, network marketing, loved the message. So we had the huge opportunity to go around the world and share this. And so we ended up in well over 100 countries, over 50 languages, spreading the message of financial control, being in control of your money. Because when it comes to money, it either controls you or you control it. And I teach people how to control their money. So we didn't expect to be a publishing company, but people wanted more after they read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. So then we said, we'll write 3 books: Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Cash Flow Quadrant, Rich Dad's Guide to Investing. Not enough. In our 10 years as in partnership together, we wrote 15 books together, as well as a whole different series of books called Rich Dad Advisors, multiple games, audio products, and continued just providing information to help people find what they needed to go to the next level. So in 2007, after we had been in partnership together for 10 years, he wanted to go in a direction that was no longer consistent with my own personal mission. And we were at the height of our success, but he wanted to go into franchising. It was a great model for us, but not a good model for the franchisee. So I made the decision to leave. And I share this with you because we talk about, this bridge of tears. You would think it was a very traumatic time, but it was the right thing for me to do because I stood in the truth. I knew what I could stand behind. And I made the decision to leave, not really knowing what was in front of me. I thought Rich Dad was my legacy. I mean, writing 15 books is kind of like giving birth 15 times. I mean, oh my gosh, I thought that was my legacy. But no, said somebody upstairs said there was more for me to do. A few months later, I get the phone call. In fact, I was having a good old-fashioned pity party. Any of you have pity parties? Let me see some hands raised here. Yes, where we start feeling sorry for ourselves. Going, what did I do? And I got a phone call. And the phone call was from President Bush. I was asked by President Bush to serve on the first President's Advisory Council for Financial Literacy. And I served in that role both for President Bush and President Obama. So I was on both sides of the aisle. And that was an incredible honor. Now, I wouldn't have had that phone call had I still been at Rich Dad. So I challenge all of you. Sometimes there's a door in your life you need to close to make room for other doors of opportunity. You may have something in your life that you need to put aside so you can focus on what you're doing with this organization. And then a couple of months later, I had another phone call, and this was from the Napoleon Hill Foundation. And I read Think and Grow Rich when I was 19. Didn't realize the impact it was going to have on me until I was in my 30s. But that phone call was in 2008. It's March 20th, actually. My goodness, I'm almost at the anniversary. I didn't think about it. March 20th, 2008. And Don Green asked me to step in and help reinvigorate the teachings of Napoleon Hill. What an incredible honor. I just had the opportunity to build the largest personal finance brand, and then to be asked to step into the largest personal development brand. Unbelievable. I would not have had that phone call had I still been a rich dad. So again, I challenge you, is there something in your life you need to push aside so you can make room for this opportunity that you're in right now? Because for me, you know, my legacy is so much bigger and more than rich dad, because doors have been opened and opportunities have appeared. And so I want to challenge you to think about your own life, how you're spending your time, investing your time. But that began an incredible relationship. My first book with the Napoleon Hill Foundation was called Think and Grow Rich, 3 Feet from Gold. And how many of you know people, particularly in your industry, that are just about to be successful and they quit? They don't do what they need to finish and to succeed. And many times they quit right before the miracle happens. And so in 3 Feet from Gold, we talk about how to keep your balance, how to keep that perseverance, persistence. And a lot of it is surrounding yourself with the right people. I have something called the Personal Success Equation. You can go to personalsuccessequation.com and get a guide that's free. And it's about combining your passion and your talent. So for me, my passion came from anger. I was mad that we weren't teaching our kids about money. And my talent was my accounting background and everything that I had in publishing. So I could combine those two, but most of us do that and stop. We don't realize that success is based on power of association. Your passion, your talent times A, power of association. Having the right people around you, like those of you with us right now, having the right mentors. The stats are proof. Having mentorship means you make more money more quickly. Simple as that. Your mentors speed your way to success, help you avoid the pitfalls, and they make you feel fantastic. They see more for you than you see for yourself. So that power of association, having the right people on your team, having people who are strong where you are weak. And then the formula is P plus T times A for association, and then times A, taking action. How many of you know sometimes what you're supposed to do, you just don't do it? I bet a few of you are, yep, I see a few heads nodding. Yeah, we've all been there. But you have your passion, your talent, the power of association, taking action, and then plus F. F stands for faith. Faith in yourself, faith in what you're doing, faith that is needed and necessary, and faith that it will succeed. Particularly in your industry, a lot of times it's that lack of self-confidence that keeps you from going forward. And when I start working with people, it's invariably the power of association and faith that need the most work. And you know what? They go hand in hand. When you have the right people in your network, your self-confidence grows. Just look at the people around you on this screen, right? They're all rooting for you. You're rooting for them. That power of association, that mentorship, that way to get that support helps you keep moving in the right direction. And so that was the book 3 Feet from Gold. And the month that we released that, I had another phone call with the foundation, and they said they had this manuscript that had been hidden away for 73 years. And Napoleon Hill spent 25 years writing Think and Grow Rich. And when he released it in 1937, he was frustrated because he said, people know what they're supposed to do. They just don't do it. So he added that last chapter called 6 Ghosts of Fear. But he said, it's not enough. It's not enough. I know people could be so much more successful, but they hold themselves back. So he sat down in a few short months. He wrote a book called Outwitting the Devil. You heard Alan refer to it. Outwitting the Devil is an incredible book. And he wrote it, and it scared his wife to death. She worked for the Presbyterian College. And so she forbid it to be published. It was locked away. he died in 1970. She died in the 90s, and her sister died earlier this century. And so it fell into the hands of the foundation. So the month we released 3 Feet from Gold, Don Green called me and said, Sharon, I have this manuscript. I don't know what to do with it. And so he sent it to me. And I tell you, the title did scare me a little bit. Outwitting the Devil. I had just finished, the whole getting separated from the whole Kiyosaki stuff. And so I said, I don't need any more negativity. My daughter's a minister, and she says, Mom, I need to pray over you. And I said, okay. So I go over to the beach where I do all my writing, and I read it. And in a few short hours, it transformed my thinking and my ability to handle fear and help other people handle fear. And it was typed on a manual typewriter, and he had his handwritten notes in the margin. As I said, I think only the 4th or 5th person to ever see it. And it was so transformational for me, and is as valid today as when he wrote it in 1938. In fact, there's a passage in there that says, there's an interrogation of the devil. And I am very Christian, but it says, you can believe I'm talking to the real devil or an imaginary man-made devil. Your choice. But will you derive any benefit from what I share? And it's absolutely transformational, because he talks about how fear cripples us. Fear of death, fear of poverty, fear of old age, fear of criticism, fear of loss of love. And he goes through each of those. And it reveals so much about what our own limiting beliefs are, stumbling blocks that keep us back, those things that cause us to have the bridge of tears, right? For instance, in one area, it talks about, how did you learn your religion? Did you learn your religion through fear or through faith? Boy, did that hit home for me. I was raised in the Southern Baptist Church. So on Sunday mornings, the pastor was fire and brimstone from the pulpit. I just knew I was going to hell. But in that same church, the youth minister was teaching me through the love of God, the love of Jesus, faith. And so when I read this, it was such an eye-opening experience for me, because I had my religion taught to me both through fear and faith. But how do you perceive what happened to you as a child when it comes to money? Right? Most of us have this scarcity mentality, because we grow up with parents who say things like, we can't afford it. That closes your mind. You want to hide away. Save for a rainy day. Pinch your pennies or your pesos, or pinch your money, all right? We can't afford it. And so you grow up hearing money negative, money negative, money negative. No wonder we develop a mindset of scarcity. But once we recognize it, it's almost comical. You can release it and realize that we live in a world of abundance. And it's never been more available to us. Again, solving a problem, serving a need. And all of these books, by the way, are available in Spanish, Vietnamese, English. So I suggest, if you have issues with fear, and certainly when you have people around you that just can't get past their own stumbling blocks. And Outwitting the Devil talks about having that definiteness of purpose. What is it that you want to achieve? And understanding that things stop us in our track. Certainly in the last year, we've had things hit us from the side. But your definiteness of purpose doesn't change. A lot of people this year have been talking about pivoting. I don't like that word, because I know what I want. It's like sailing a boat. You know where you want to go, but when the wind shifts, you have to adjust your sails. Same thing now. You know your definiteness of purpose. The world shut down, so you had to make some adjustments. You adapt, adjust, recalibrate, and then refire, because your definiteness of purpose didn't change. That mastery over self, a lot of us had to kind of get control of ourselves because of things happening. Learning from adversity, particularly we women. When we make a mistake, we tend to define ourselves, kind of carry it along like an old sack of potatoes. But we have to learn that it's not a mistake, it's a learning opportunity. And it's an occurrence. It's not a definition of who we are, right? Let's learn from it. All right. Somebody earlier today, I was in a conversation, they said, you know, a failure or a mistake, you call a crisis, God calls it his classroom. I love that. So learning from adversity. So definiteness of purpose, self-discipline, learning from adversity, and then controlling your environment. Now you hear about that a lot, but do you pay attention to it? What's being allowed in your space? What are you allowing?
Hola, vengo por unos tapabocas que me dejó Liliana.
Hello. But what are you allowing in your space? What's allowing into your subconscious? Because that environment, just imagine, I'll show my age, but you walk down a hotel hall and on the right side, you walk into a child's funeral. How do you feel? All of us right now. We all went like this, right? You continue walking, you go into the left, and there's a room, a party with the Supremes, right? Motown, people are laughing and jumping. You're immediately buoyed, right? So you have to control the environment you're in. And many of us have a lot of empathy. And so when we're talking to somebody who's really down, we immediately feel ourselves drop. And so I teach the cone of protection and know that you have the opportunity to go in that same room and let them be lifted up instead of you going down. And so you've heard the term, the light at the end of the tunnel. I go, no, don't wait for the light at the end of the tunnel. Become your own beacon of light. Shine brightly, and others will be brought to you and share their light with yours. You are in the powerful chair. Create your own power, and others will be attracted to you. In this world of craziness, control what you can control and set boundaries on negative people, negative events. Don't allow yourself in that environment of negativity. And so it's understanding your definiteness of purpose, your mastery over self, learning from adversity, controlling your environment, and controlling your time. Particularly this last year and a half, have you been sitting on the couch binge watching on Netflix or TV shows? Or have you been taking this time to recalibrate, to invest the time? And so rather than spending time, let's invest our time to create the next best life. Because we have the opportunity to place ourselves in a position of the highest potential. Now, during this pandemic, I'm talking about Outwitting the Devil because when I released it back in 2011, I thought it was a perfect message for that time, but it is oh so much perfect for what's happening now. Because one of this interrogation of the devil where he has to give away his secrets, he says at one point in time or another, it's on page 61 in the English version, it says at one point in time, I'm going to bring all men to their knees by combining the fear of death and the fear of poverty. Well, welcome to the world of pandemic. Add in the fear of isolation and you have a trifecta. So it's so important for us to understand where these external things are coming from. Because during our life, this bridge of tears, you know, there's a saying, God doesn't give you more than you can handle. Well, sometimes you really have to question it. Sometimes it says, you know, a mistake is a learning opportunity, but you say, why me? And sometimes it's hard to find the benefit. When we released Outwitting the Devil, it had an incredible impact because we wanted to bring his teachings to the younger generation, and it really has done that. But it's been such a powerful book this year, helping people kind of figure out their life again because of this global reset. But it's up to each of us. Every one of us is where we are today because of the choices we made before today. And if you want different choices, just start making them today. If you want something different in your life, just start making different choices, because the world is yours. You have the opportunity to create anything you want. And I'm here to support you in doing that. That's my greatest joy, seeing people create opportunity in their lives. So when we released Outwitting the Devil was when they asked me to do Think and Grow Rich for Women. And what an incredible joy it was. You know, it's a real celebration of the original Think and Grow Rich book. But then I look at each chapter through the eyes of successful women who have used that principle in their own life. I share how I've used each principle in my own world and my own success. And then I share quotes. And there's a whole section in there about masterminding. And I highlight a lot of women that are in the direct sales and network marketing industry. But it's about, you know, what the first line is, why a book for women? I really resisted doing anything specifically for women for a long time, because I think the steps to success are the same for men and women. But in my wisdom of old age, I realized that even though the steps to success are the same, men and women approach them very differently. And the original Think and Grow Rich was written during a time when women were not in business. So even though its message is valid today as it was back then, I wanted to bring it through the eyes of women, so that when you're reading it, you might read one woman's story and say, that's not me. But the next one you go, oh my gosh, if she can do it, so can I. I love this. I have over 300 women in the book. It talks about how we need to elevate ourselves. And the other reason that I did the book was I was getting frustrated at the number of women complaining about the men in their way, the men holding them back. And if you understand the law of attraction from the movie and the book, The Secret, well, Napoleon Hill actually wrote about the law of attraction in 1919. You know, you think good thoughts, you attract good things. Well, if you're complaining and criticizing, what are you attracting? Nothing good. I said, let's change our dialogue from negativity and criticizing to one of celebration. Let's celebrate the progress we have made as women. Is there more to do? Yes. But let's celebrate the progress, and let's celebrate the men who have supported us along the way. Because I think it's when men and women come together and are both at the table, we get the greatest results. It's been proven. And so I wanted to change the dialogue from criticism to one of celebration. And then I also wanted to address the concept of work-life balance. Too many, particularly women, fret and worry about work-life balance. Stop it. The word balance, I always say work-life balance BS, and I don't say bad words, so that stands for before Sharon. Balance belongs in the yoga studio. All right. We have so many aspects of our life, our physical, our spiritual, our financial, our work, our family, our community. All of those work together to create who we are. And so instead of thinking work-life balance, I want you to focus on one big life. So if you by chance did not spend enough time with your kids yesterday, just make a different decision today. But don't spend precious time today worrying. The definition of the word worry, I hope this translates well. To worry is to pray for what you do not want. Let me repeat that. To worry is to pray for what you do not want. That means you're focusing on the negative. And I happen to be a champion worrier, very good at it. But once I got that definition in my brain, now when I start to worry, I stop myself. And I go, okay, Sharon, instead of focusing on the negative outcome, let's reframe my thoughts and focus on what I do want to have happen. Changing from negative to positive. And your brain cannot hold negative and positive at the same time. So when you focus on the positive outcome, you attract positive results. And so Think and Grow Rich for Women was an incredible opportunity for me to get that message out. Don't fret. When you worry today, you're worried about something that's already happened yesterday. You can't change it. Or you're worried about something that may or may not happen tomorrow. So stop it. Just focus on what you want to do and change your actions if something happened yesterday that you weren't happy with. Just make a different choice today. But at the end of the day, everything I've done my entire life kind of goes back to that initial Rich Dad Poor Dad, but also the cash flow quadrant. If you've not read it, I suggest you read it because it talks about the way we make money. And that's the beauty of your organization. The cash flow quadrant stands for employee, self-employed. This is what school teaches us. This is you exchanging time for money. All right. And this is where the vast majority of the world live. My superpower, what I teach people is how to move to the right side of the quadrant. Business owner and investor. And this is where your money is working for you. This is where your assets are. The amount of income you can make on this side is finite. There's only so many hours in the day and only so many days in the week. But what you're building with this organization is an asset. And that's on the right side. An engine, it becomes an economic engine. I want you to see your lips moving. Say asset. Say it, asset. Asset. All right, I want to see some smiles saying asset. It is the best, my favorite word on earth. Then you can say assets are sexy because they are. The wealthiest people around the globe, no matter where they live, no matter what language they speak, have one thing in common. Assets. Assets that create income. So assets are sexy. And the older you become, the sexier they become. So it's very important. That's what provides financial independence. To go from money controlling you to you controlling money. So I want to invite you to think about your environment. Pull down the personal success equation. And if you need that daily reminder, I talked to Alan about this. I have something called the daily ATM deposit, if you're familiar with banks. But for me, it's the daily abundance, tips, and mentorship that I have created to just help people keep that voice of positivity. Let me tell you, you are fabulous every single day. And I actually didn't tell you I was going to do this, but it's absolutely, I want you to all have the opportunity to test it out for $1. All right. It's every single day you're going to get a message of encouragement, a message of support, a message of helping you take that next step. And I invite all of you to be able to experience it. And I want you to understand that we need that mentorship. We need that environment of positivity, that injection, that daily injection of understanding what you want out of life. And your organization provides you with every opportunity to create financial independence for yourself. You have the built-in successful systems. You have incredible products, and you have magical leadership and mentorship. Because when Zig Ziglar said it, become successful by helping other people become successful. When I had my initial conversation with Alan, he didn't talk about himself. He talked about all of you. He talked about all of you and the opportunities, the incredible success that you're experiencing in your life. So I invite you to join with me and let me support you in your journey. And know that we're here every single day to encourage you to take that next step to elevate yourself. Because I know Alan sees more in you than you see in yourself. When I work with folks, I see a better potential than they can imagine. And we want to take those blinders off, get rid of those limiting beliefs, allow you to reach for the stars and create not just a life for yourself, but for all those around you, to lead by example, to stand in your own power, to be the CEO of your own life. And understand, many of you may be employed, and that's fine. It's not what you do for your paycheck. It's what you do with your paycheck. To reinvest that into assets, to build the business you have here, to continue building it so that it can become that economic engine for you and for yourself. And the other thing is your children. Incorporate them into your life. Let them learn for the business from you. Being an entrepreneur is the greatest gift for your children. But then also ask yourself, what messaging are you giving to your children? Are you saying we can't afford it to them? Stop it. The choice of our words. When we say we can't afford it to them, they want to go hide in a corner. They get depressed. So instead of saying we can't afford it, say John, Mary, okay, Juan, Maria. Say, how can you afford it? Do you feel the difference? When you say, how can you afford it? You trigger that entrepreneurial spirit. They come up with all kinds of creative ways to get what they want. And you know, the magical thing is when they have a goal, they achieve it, and they can celebrate, you see their self-confidence rise right in front of you. So it brings back to my personal success equation, your passion, your talent, power of association, taking action, and having faith in yourself. It's that power of association and that self-confidence that go hand in hand. And so I congratulate you for being part of this organization. I congratulate you for putting a stake in the ground for your own future and taking control of your financial life. And I congratulate Alan for having such an incredible event to continue supporting you. And I am right at my time limit, I believe. So I think Alan's going to come back in, but I thank all of you very much. And I'm happy to take some questions if there are any.
Okay, wow. Whew. Man, I could listen to that at least 500 times. I'm telling you right now, that is definitely worth it. And the book, Think and Grow Rich for Women, I'm reading. I know it sounds strange that I would read that book, but I have a lot of women in my organization, and I need to be more current with that. And of course, I need that. I need it.
Thank you.
Outwitting the Devil. Oh man, that is, you know, I spent about 16 days on each chapter of Think and Grow Rich, one day, and each and 6 Ghosts of Fear. I spent 2 days on that chapter because it is really, truly the key that we do understand the philosophy sometimes, but somehow we don't change. And what stops us from that change? And Outwitting the Devil, 6 Ghosts of Fear, all of that is really important. So we got a lot of questions coming up. If you guys could translate it to English and Spanish, or if we could have one of our, maybe Javier, are you in the English room? Yeah.
Yes, I'm here.
If you could translate a couple questions for her, that would be great. I mean, it's flying in, Sharon.
Yeah, there's an interesting question, it says in Spanish and English, but she says from us to say, how can I motivate a woman on my team who wants to become a little independent from her husband to feel active, useful again, but does not want to have conflicts with him?
Okay, so the question was motivate somebody who isn't motivated and it's because of her husband. Is that what I heard?
No. Read it again, Javier. Yeah, read it again.
How can I motivate a woman on my team who wants to become a little independent from her husband and wants to feel active and useful, but does not want to have conflicts with him?
Right, so conflicts with the husband.
Yes.
Well, part of that is communication. All right. I always tell people, go out and have a money date with your spouse and go out on that money date and talk about how your parents dealt with money. It's going to reveal a lot of issues related to how you were raised and how he or she was raised. And it actually can become comical because you start comparing your parents, but it will also reveal areas that you guys need to communicate and understand what your plans are together. And part of when, particularly in this industry, issues with spouses not supporting somebody happens a lot. And it's because of the lack of communication, that brightness of future, and also a little sense of loss. If you're working hard in something, that means you're less time at home. Okay, that needs to be a mutual investment, an agreement to work together. and understand the potential and the power. Let the spouse see and communicate with people that are very successful in your business, like Alan, where they see that brightness of future and they see the opportunity that they can create. But the other thing is, I don't like the word motivate, because motivate means outside pressure and it means short-term results. I want you to use the word inspire, all right? Because when you inspire, that comes from within. Somebody has said something that's triggered something inside you. And so become an inspirational leader where they see, because if she's not, somebody can be motivated for a short term, but when you get them inspired is for long-term results. So I hope that helps.
Wow, huge. That is a huge answer. Oh. Okay, how about another one, Javier?
Another question, this is from Camilo. He's saying, how we could heal all the programs that we received about everything from our parents?
Okay, can you repeat that question?
Yeah, it says how we could heal all the programs that we received about everything from our parents. I understand that I try to, because I think it's a bad translation, a Google translation from Spanish to English. So it looks like, how can we manage all the things that we have been receiving from our parents since we were kids?
Right. Well, I thank you for that question. You're not alone, first. Everybody thinks that their situation is unique. All right. Some people grow up without parents and they become very successful. Other people grow up with very abusive parents and yet they find their space. Other people grow up in very loving homes, but their parents do everything for them. And so they never found that ability to do things on their own. And so part of it is understanding your parents are individuals. They did the best they could, or what they did what they did, but you're no longer there. And so you have a choice to make. Okay. Am I going to be a victim of what happened to me in the last however many years? Or I'm going to say, okay, that happened. These are my parents' expectations, but what are my expectations? And understand that sometimes you have to create boundaries, even within your own family, to understand what you want and how you can create it. Because when you start doing something new, particularly in this industry, you get a lot of people thinking you're crazy. And use that as energy, all right? Particularly in your own family. When you're doing something you want, all right, and they're not. And so they feel guilty about their own lack of activity. So what do? They try and make you feel bad. They try and pull you back into their comfort zone. Don't let them. Put that cone of protection on, but also understand it's not you, it's them. Okay, it's your parents. When I left public accounting, my parents did kind of say, well, Sharon, you're leaving, upwardly mobile career. And I said, yes, because I want to try and solve a problem or serve a need. Now, they still were very proud of me. I had an older sister and she went the standard corporate route, all right? I was the wild child, but their love for me luckily supported me in anything I wanted to do. They knew I wanted to go out there and do something different. So I was very fortunate. But sometimes you have a family that's pulling you back or friends who think you're crazy. You may need some new friends. Now, you can't necessarily get rid of the family, but you can decide how much time you spend with them. And you can put that cone of protection on. Because once you start creating success in your life, and I bet some of your leaders on this call will go like this when I talk about this. So that's a challenge to you leaders. Once you start creating success, they're going to become your biggest cheerleaders. And then they're going to ask you for a loan. Yeah. See, I see a few heads going, yep. All right. They're going to pull you back. You create success. All of a sudden, they're there helping you because they want to share the limelight. And so understand you have to put that cone of protection on yourself. Your actions are yours to choose. And limit the time with the naysayers and give them the opportunity to see the choices you're making, but become a mentor, not an enabler. Too many times, particularly when you have great success, we kind of have this guilty complex about how much money we're making. And so we start sharing it with people, and we actually become an enabler of bad habits. So be very careful, become a mentor. Show them a pathway where they can stand in their own power and do it for themselves. That's a very long answer to your question, but hope that helps.
Wow.
Yes, of course.
Incredible. Are you kidding? Wow.
You can tell I'm pretty passionate. I'm pretty passionate about that.
More. Give me the next one. I'm learning. I'm taking notes. Oh my God.
Okay, another question says, this is in Spanish, I want to try to translate. Says, how can I motivate? I will change it for inspire, okay? How can inspire a woman, a lady that is starting the business, but her husband does not believe in the business and does not allow her to have enough time to take action?
Well, there's a lot of bridges of tears here. One of the things, again, inspire her. You can't change what happens in someone else's home. And so you can share enough success that the husband sees it without feeling intimidated. All right. There's one thing to go to the husband and try and tell him he's wrong. That never ends well. But to invite him along for the ride, to let him enjoy the fruits of your labor, and to see the camaraderie and the mentorship. He may feel like you're taking his wife away from him, all right? If she's been the dutiful wife and now she's going to be outside the home doing some things and helping other people, there's a transition there that has to happen. But you have to kind of make it his idea. Show him that brightness of future, that opportunity for a better life, that opportunity that's going to benefit both of them. So a temporary investment of loss of time with his wife generates the opportunity for a whole lot more time with her and a lot more financial reward. So it's a matter of exposing him to the possibilities. And every one of us, you talk about bridge of tears. I didn't share in my actual talk, but I want to share this because so many times people look at me and they see this, successful person. People sometimes tell me they're intimidated by me, and it just breaks my heart because I am just Sharon. But eight years ago, I lost my youngest son. And you talk about bridge of tears. It knocked me on my ass. I can't believe I just said that word to so many people. And you go into a form of neutral, like numbness. And I was there for a couple of years. I was still writing, I was still speaking, but there are people in your organization and each one of you may have had something that stopped you in your tracks. That it could be a death, it could be a divorce, it could be a financial setback, it could be an illness. But you talk about bridge of tears. And the way you get over that bridge of tears is having the right people around you and realizing that you're still here for a reason. I came very close to retiring because I wasn't getting the zest. I got a lot of pushback from family and friends. And I think I even heard my son saying, "Mom, get over it. There's more for you to do." And so I came out and launched a Play Big movement because I decided to play big again and to share my message because I'm still here. And my message is to each of you that have had something that stopped you in your tracks. It could be a financial setback. It could be a divorce. It could be a death. It could be an illness. But you are still here, and you are still here for a reason. And what you have been through can help others. And so that couple, that the husband is against it and the wife really wants to do it, but she's struggling. I bet right here on this screen, There's a woman or a man who was in that position and you got past it. You are the ones that need to share that. Share what you did and how you were able to get past it so that now you can celebrate each other and celebrate the fact that this woman was able to build a successful business. That's how you get that back. Sharing how other people have done it. Not through intimidate. I mean, you can talk all day long and it's just going to bounce off of somebody who is set in their ways. But exposing the stories of success and that trail of where they start, where this person is, and they can start seeing that little hope. That's how you transform lives. And that's how you get people over the bridge of tears to the other side.
Wow. Thank you so much. Beautiful. I mean, we definitely want to study your materials a lot more, your books, your audios. I'm on your audios, and even this lecture to listen to it over and over. Javier has been posting on YouTube the seminar, and it's live on YouTube, but usually it gets taken off by YouTube if they suspect music or something is not correct. But we've been getting it back on with approval of YouTube, so it's not a big problem. You guys can see it. If you don't see it the minute after we get off this broadcast, come back to it and you'll see it in a day or two. And Javier been working like all night, every night, getting this done. Thank you, Javier, for that. Thank you, Sharon, for a beautiful day of crossing the bridge of tears. And I have a little more work for all of you guys to do before we end today. And we are going to watch Think and Grow Rich Legacy at the end of today's.
Oh, good. Yay.
Yeah.
You'll see me again.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, so thank you so much. I want to share a couple of words with you guys, and it has to do with the last comment. I have had a few, actually, typically Mexican distributors, women. I had actually two of them. One of them would literally to ask to come to an event in another city, would like a Blue Diamond University, would literally throw up. So nervous to ask her husband that she wanted some time off and to leave the house. And another one, very successful woman. I mean, you never would suspect it. Businesswoman, very successful. We were running a little late on a meeting and she had to call her husband to come and pick up her child so she could have an extra hour at the meeting. And just to make that call, she was going through the worst moment of her life. And I will say this about it. Both of them have now brought their husbands to one or more success trips. One, I remember the one in South Africa where I got to spend some time with her husband and to see the life, to see the brightness of the future. And both of them, had multiple occasions to do this. And it's incredible, the change in the husbands, driving me all around the place, taking care of the kids very joyfully, doing all of the things that was and their lives, these women's lives are so amazingly different and beautiful. And their lack of fear. I mean, just they've become fearless and have become inspirations to so many others with, I don't know, you call macho men, or something like that in Mexico is a term, but it's really been amazing, beautiful stories of inspiration. I feel so passionate that, crossing the bridge becomes the biggest inspiration. I don't know if Sharon wants to add anything to that, but I just wanted to share that real quick.
No, I think that's a perfect story. Those two couples, you should probably have a conversation with the husband and get his advice, you know, on how he was able to transform from one of jealousy. Actually, I think it's jealousy of losing the wife's time and fear that she's going to change and he's not. That's part of it, you know, particularly people go to seminars all the time, and if your spouse isn't with you, you get all excited, you get all inspired, all motivated, you come home and you blow them out trying to tell them everything. And they're like, whoa, because they didn't have that experience. So I always tell people, go home and little bites at a time to help bring them along. Because it's like you've spent 3 days and all of a sudden you go home and it's like a fire hose of information. It's like you got to like little doses along the way.
Yeah, after our Team Elite Platinum University, I always tell people to please listen for at least 30 minutes. The experience of your spouse, experience of the home and taking care of the kids, maybe for the first time sometimes, and make sure you listen for at least 30 minutes, fully listening before sharing anything about what you did, because it's so, you know, I mean, they went through their own lives for those times. And I'll share with you that just in case I don't get that opportunity tomorrow at the last day to share, please make sure you do that. And today, after Think and Grow Rich also, I mean, people are just so excited, and they're around now, this time during Team Elite Platinum University, people start really getting the message. And it is from you, Sharon. Thank you so much for bringing it to us and bringing it home. I love you. Yeah.
Well, it's been my pleasure. Thank you so much. And I wish you the rest of the event to be fantastic. And congratulations to all of you for investing this time in your future. So thank you.
Awesome. Well, I have the topic of, you know, crossing the bridge of tears. And oftentimes in our business, I consider the crossing the bridge of tears when your residual income, like your investment basically in the business, has now resulted in that income covering all of your expenses, you know, meaning that you are making enough money residually to pay for all of your living expenses, and maybe and a little more, but just, I mean, even when you just get there. And I always ask people to consider this, to really think about this. How are you going to cross the bridge of tears? Because it truly is a bridge of tears before then. You're not making enough, you want to do more, but it's very difficult to continue because, yeah, you're not making enough to cover all of your expenses, go full time and have the time freedom to make it happen. And, you know, I always advise my team members to, first of all, try to lower your expense, your living expense. Try to lower your monthly expense as much as humanly possible. That makes the bridge shorter. And so, you know, whatever you can do, reduce the size of your expenditures, cut back, ask others to pitch in to help. Maybe you pay for your parents' place. Maybe they can cover a part of it, their electric bill, something. You know, maybe you help your whole family, but maybe some of your adult kids are ready to take on a little bit of responsibility, and you can reduce any which way you can reduce. Try to do it, you know, and oftentimes it's a reduction in your lifestyle, you know, even rent out one of your rooms or something like that, so that there is a little extra income coming outside, brings in and reduces your monthly nut yourself, your monthly expenses. But then really facing it square in the face and saying, okay, there's really 3 ways I can do it. The most common way, of course, continue to work your job and then, you know, work our business and try to build that residual income on the side. That's a bridge of tears. And why? Well, I mean, it's kind of obvious the time frame this is being broadcast. Many people who work a job cannot be here, or if they are here, you know, somebody else is working in their place, or they're taking time off, or sneaking away at a long lunch or something like that. I mean, you know, that's like what happens. And that is a bridge of tears. Because yeah, you ask somebody, hey, you know, can you come and take my position? They say yes. The next time they say yes. The next time they're like, where are you going and why are you going there? And do you have to do it again? And after a while, you're like afraid to even ask. And it is a bridge of tears. And when you do ask, you get rejected. And, you know, eventually it's like, I need this time. I want it. I want to keep on growing. I want it for myself. And you have to, you know, deal with all of that and your family and all of their comments and all of that. So that is the bridge of tears. And we understand that, you know. So that's one way. Continue to work, probably the most common way. And then build. And it is a bridge of tears. Because by the time somebody finishes, especially a full-time job, but even a part-time job and taking care of the kids the rest of the time, they're tired. Even if you're working from home, you're exhausted and you want to write some posts, do some social media, you know, make some contacts. I mean, that's like, oh my God, you know, that's extra. And that's a bridge of tears, and staying away from your kids and they're homeschooled and, you know, and you're like, I need this 1 hour of time and they want your attention. Yeah, that's a bridge of tears. But that's one way to do it. And like Sharon said, you know, the work balance, you know, that's for the yoga class, meaning there is no balance. That sometimes when you're going after your dream, I have experienced it every time. There is no balance. There is the one path, and I'm going to put it all in. And it's not easy. It's a decision. And it's communication, conversation, you know, letting your kids know what it's about and all of that. I do recommend that you set small goals, like a weekly, like a little goal, like, hey, kids, if I get 3 customers this week, you know, not like I'm going to earn the big success trip at the end of 6 months, but just a little goal. Like if I get like 3 customers this week, I will take you to the park and you get to do whatever you want to do. You get me for, you know, 8 hours. It's yours. It's your day. And, you know, you'd be so surprised. Hey, Mom, did you get your customer yet? Come on, get to work. Or even like, hey, Dad, come on, let's go, man. I want my day. Or even like, I had this, Dad, I got my teacher wants, you know, this new toothpaste thing. So Dad, you better call her. And I'm telling you the truth. It's like, Dad, did you call her yet? Did you call her yet? Did you call her yet? Come on. So it's a great way to get, you know, alignment with your family and your spouse, maybe even like that. Now, spouses could be pretty easy, like, you know, hey, I'm going to give you something really special tonight. And I got to work, you know, until like 10, but stay up because we're going to have something really special tonight. And, you know, I mean, like the spouses are like, I kind of like this business. Right? I mean, it's so simple to motivate the animal side of men. I think, I don't know if I should say that on a seminar like this, but be smart, you know, be smart, be creative, get really, and make it fun. Make it fun. That I think I would recommend. The other way to cross the bridge of tears is, you could you know, go all out. Like, I mean, like quit your job, go all in and blitz. I mean, like, and work, you know, like crazy. Now, this definitely is also a bridge of tears. You might think, well, that's easy. I'm just gonna, you know, go all out and quit my job tomorrow. I mean, this is one of the things I recommend is don't make any quick decisions that will concern that kind of thing. Like wait 1 week before you make a big decision like that, because, you know, a good decision tomorrow is a good decision in 1 week as well. The reason is because it is still a bridge of tears. You know, you might find yourself still, I mean, most of us have a lot to learn before we can get there, before we can be effective. And so, you know, you find yourself like learning and making painful mistakes. And on a month that you don't make it, you don't make enough money, you tried your best, but you couldn't even pick up the phone. Just psychologically, you were not prepared. Mentally, the confidence, you were not all there yet. And you can't even pick up the phone. And now you're selling $1 million business and you don't even have gas for your car. And you're like, how is this working? And it really does destroy your confidence. And it does happen. So just know that that is also a bridge of tears, and you will be making mistakes along the way. And those months will come along, and there will be some months that you do, everything works, but there's months where everything doesn't work. You get a big team, and then suddenly you're in management mode, which is like, I call it Lapislandia. And all of a sudden now you're wondering, why am I doing this like full time and I'm not even making enough to support my family or anything? And that's not a good feeling. But if you do decide to do it, that is definitely one way to do it. And it has worked for some. It could work for you. Just be aware that, you know, there is a price to pay. And you may have those moments of crying on the steps. I don't know if anybody heard Sean Brady talk about his, you know, his times, you know, sleeping on a park bench. I mean, literally in Singapore, like crying at the steps of a hotel where his credit card didn't work. I mean, and it does happen. The third way that I believe you can cross the bridge of tears is, you know, to borrow enough to make it. So if you know it's going to take me a year to do this, and you calculate your monthly expenses for a year, and you have that in savings, or, you know, your spouse is making enough money, and you can say, hey, can you sponsor me for the year? I'm going to quit my job. Can you like carry us for a year? I'm going to make it in a year. Yeah, that's one way to do it if you have that luxury. But just know that that's also a bridge of tears. First off, because you're not as motivated as somebody that has put it all on the line. You have some money in the bank, or you have some money from your spouse or whatever. And I'll tell you, that day will come at the end of the period, and you are there or not. And tell you the truth, you know, you should always ask for a double amount of time that you think you're going to take. If you think it's going to take 1 year, ask for 2 years. Or if you think it's going to take 1 year of, you know, whatever you spend per month, that you're going to borrow that money for your parents or something, borrow double the amount that you need. Because, I mean, yeah, things come up and you're not as motivated, you know, you don't do as much. And when that moment comes at the end of that term, wow, you're really, really, you know, like out of luck with no paddle. I mean, like really, it really becomes a struggle at that moment. And so I just want, you know, to know that, you know, there is, those 3 ways. And for me, I think, and variations of combinations of all of the 3, like work a job until you can kind of work part-time, and then, then go for it, and quit your job, go full-time with New Skin. Like basically by then you're probably part-time with your job and full-time with New Skin anyway. So then go double full-time with New Skin and quit your job completely, like combinations. Think about it. You could, go part-time and ask your spouse, say, can you handle some of these expenses because I'm not going to be able to pay them anymore, or whatever ways you figure it out. But tonight, your homework assignment is to figure it out, to decide. And talk to your team and tell them what you have decided. And it's really a serious concept, but one that most people don't make a conscious decision of. And there is a bridge of tears to cross, no doubt. And oftentimes there's actually more than one. I told you my experience with my yo-yo business and being kicked off the street. The bum on the street kicked me off the street, and I felt lower than the bum of the street, But there were much more times than that I faced huge doubt, fear, worry that I would ever accomplish my yo-yo business in Japan. I remember I got a PO, which is a purchase order, a letter of credit. That means it's guaranteed. That means the money is like in escrow. The money is already deposited in a bank account, unable to move except to pay you. That means it's guaranteed money. We just need to close the door of the container and then send the invoice to the client, and the client's money is there already. It's going to pay. So it's guaranteed money. This is how big deals are made. Millions of dollars in the bank waiting to be paid. We did, the company Bandai sent over inspectors to check out the production. They did that because they just want to make sure that the quality is up to the Japanese level, which is even higher than American standards, and that the inspections were being made before the products were packed in the container. Well, when the inspectors came to the US in Boston, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, where it was being produced, the president of Omega was there, a woman, Joyce, and she was watching them inspect. And she got this feeling like they were trying to copy her production. And I said, there's no way they're trying to copy your production. They are the best plastic manufacturers in the world. They're billions of dollars. They have it down. They can actually know that. They can weigh the yo-yo and give you the retail wholesale price of the yo-yo. They're not trying to copy you. But she got that in her head so deep that she decided she was not going to produce a yo-yo for the production. It had taken me over a year to get this contract on my money. And she was not going to supply it, even with the money in the bank. And I was calling her every day. It was to the point where I would call her up. Within like 10 minutes, we were arguing and yelling, and she hung up on me. There were times where I would just start talking and she would hang up the phone on me. And she said, over my dead body, are we going to send these Japanese, those products? I mean, it was like that. I was dumbfounded. I was like, no way. Yeah, I'm on. I can see my mic going up and down. Okay. And finally, I didn't remember this, but the brother of Joyce, Alan Amaral, had asked me 6 months before to come over to my home in Hawaii and spend some time in Hawaii. And I had to invite him to stay at my home. So this was at that week, he came over to my house. And one morning he got up early and he heard like me kind of yelling. And he said, "Oh, I'm sorry, but I overheard a conversation and it seemed like you were yelling on, is there something wrong?" And I said, "Well, it was your sister. I'm sorry to say that. Yeah, and she's not going to produce our yo-yo. I have millions of dollars of purchase order, but she's not going to fulfill it." He goes, "What? Really? Why?" And I told him the story. I don't know if I should be telling you this, but this is what happened. I have no other way to turn. I'm just completely out. He said, "Well, you might not know this, Alan, but I'm actually the owner because I invested the majority of money to make this company. And I'm the owner. So let me try and call her. I mean, I'm not involved in the company. I'm a lawyer. I'm not a business runner, but I own it. And so let me try to call her." And they talked for a little while, like half an hour, and you could hear the yelling. And then half an hour later, she hung up on him. She hung up on him. And I was like, oh my God, like, yikes. And it continued like 2.5 days like this. And I was like, she's like, Alan, her brother's name is Alan. "Alan, over my dead body, am I going to produce that yo-yos?" And I was like, there's no way. I mean, there's no solution. This is where you need to have faith in faith itself. This is like one thing I want you to write: faith in faith itself. Any giant, big endeavor that you do, and becoming completely financially independent or going after your dream, becoming a team elite is a great endeavor, trust me. So trust me, you will go through this moment where you have to have faith in faith itself. And I'm not kidding you, his brother worked for the company also. And one day he called his brother Lenny and said, "Lenny, I, as majority stockholder, you own stock as well. He was the production manager, Lenny. We are going to produce this order. I don't care what the president, Joyce, says. We're going to make it and it's going to be shipped." And that afternoon he left Hawaii back to mainland. And I was like, did you hear what just happened? I'm like, oh my God. I was like, oh my God. But you know what? You have to believe, even if there is nothing to believe in everything that is in front of you says no, you have to believe just in the belief. And so I'm going to tell you all, number one, use your self-confidence formula. This is where you believe in your dreams. It's there for you. Read it, memorize it every day. I know that I have the ability to achieve the object of my definite purpose in life. Therefore, I demand of myself persistent, continuous action towards this attainment, and I here and now promise to render such action. Second, I know that the dominating thoughts of my mind will gradually transform themselves into outward physical action and eventually transform themselves into physical reality. Therefore, I concentrate my thoughts for 30 minutes daily upon the task of thinking of the person I intend to become, thereby creating in my mind a clear mental picture of that person. Third, I know through the principles of autosuggestion, any desire that I persistently hold in my mind will eventually seek expression through some practical means of attaining the object back of it. Therefore, I devote 10 minutes daily to the demanding of myself the development of self-confidence. Fourth, I have clearly written down a description of my definite chief aim in life, and I shall never stop trying until I shall have developed sufficient self-confidence for its attainment. Fifth, I know that no wealth or position can long endure unless built upon truth and justice. Therefore, I engage in no transaction which does not benefit all its effects. I succeed by attracting to myself the forces I wish to use and the cooperation of other people. I induce others to serve me because of my willingness to serve others. I eliminate hatred, envy, jealousy, selfishness, and cynicism by creating love for all humanity, because I know a negative attitude towards others can never bring me success. I cause others to believe in me because I believe in them and in myself. Sign my name to this formula, commit it to memory, repeat it out loud twice daily with full faith that it gradually transforms my thoughts and actions, affirming that I am self-reliant and successful team elite leader. Thank you, God, for it is done. Yeah. So anyway, decide how you're going to cross the bridge of tears. Share with your team your experience of today. This is one thing very difficult for us to do with so many people on. So I want you to break into your groups. It could be groups of 30 or 10 or more, but then always break into the group of 5 and really deeply share. So everyone in the group can have time to share their experience of the class. That's what we want, okay? We don't have much more time. And tomorrow is a very important day to use everything you've learned. So again, remember to share your meditations. Today we're going to do a short one called the workshop. I have never done this one this short, but I only have a few minutes to do it. So I'm going to do it using a technique called the sliding board. So after you practice your colors of the rainbow really well,